Ladies and gentlemen, I want to call to order the Design Review Board. My name is Marty Littleton. I'm going to let each one of the members that are present introduce themselves. Steve?
I'm Steve Check, and I live in Nettlebrook Farms.
I'm Tim Bryan, have an office in Crabapple.
Carl Hayes.
And I live on Freemanville. Okay, would you like to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, folks? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. I kind of did that a little bit out of order by giving the introduction to board members. Please forgive me. Can I get somebody to make a motion to approve the January action minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the January action minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good deal. Folks, we have no demolition reviews. We have no final reviews. So we have a courtesy review, and that's going to be the northeast corner of Bethany Bend and Cogburns Road, Arrowhead Real Estate Partners, LLC, and I suspect there's someone here to present. Hi, how are you, sir?
Gentleman, Pete Hendricks, practice law at 6085 Lake Forest Drive. Curtis Hicks is on his way here with the boards for the elevations that are going to be the subject of what it is you all need to look at. He hadn't gotten here. Just as backdrop information, I think y'all may remember this is the overall piece of property that has been modified and amended because of a question issue over the appropriateness of assisted living under the original application as TR Townhouse Residential. So what we have ended up with is taking that original TR Townhouse Residential, and we now have 16 units, single family, detached onto the easterly portion of the property, 3.67 units to the acre. That, I believe, was what you all looked at as an overall site plan for proposed TR originally. That has been modified and amended so that now the westerly portion of that tract, the tract that is right at the corner, a 4.73 acre parcel, is now being proposed for 95 assisted living units in a two-story building. So that's the backdrop of it, and if you all will indulge us, Curtis has got to get here with the elevations. You may want to move forward and take the other item that was behind us on the agenda.
That'd be fine. We'll put yours to the back of the burner, and we'll go on to the park. Mr. Craig?
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Jim Craig. I'm Director of Parks and Recreation here in the city of Milton. Carl, good to see you again.
Hi, Jim.
Some of you may recall that on December 1st, the city of Milton opened its first ever new park. Friendship Community Park is a partner park in which the land is physically owned by the Fulton County Board of Education, and the improvements were provided by the city of Milton under an IGA, a 10-year lease agreement. What I'm here to talk to you folks about is our second park, and what will be the first park I've worked on. And I wanted to frankly just make you folks aware of what we're doing, seek your input and guidance on how to press forward, present to you some of the challenges I've already been made aware of, and get your feedback. Tell me, if I'm on the right track, going the wrong way, or what we should do. Okay? You all have the drawings the pictures I submitted?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If it's okay with you guys, for the benefit of the community, I will show the large drawings, which are identical to the folks here.
Okay, that's fine.
Can I, Jim, can you orientate me? I see Deerfield Parkway. I don't see a name on this other road.
Okay.
So maybe an orientation on
Sure. If you pull out here and turn left, and you head up to the traffic light, where the Chevron station is.
Got it, got it.
That's the corner of Deerfield and Webb.
Okay.
Now, on the right side is the Chevron station.
Got it.
On the left side, literally this piece of property at the end of these buildings, there is a 1 acre parcel of land in the shape of a triangle,
Okay,
right?
got it.
That property is physically owned by the city of Milton. It was acquired 2.5 years ago, almost 3 years ago. And the obligation, most of the land was funded by a grant provided by MARTA. And as such, we have an obligation to put up a couple of benches to support people who are looking to use MARTA. There is a MARTA bus stop across the street. We don't want to just put up 2 benches. We want to make something nice. So what I've presented here, I'll use my voice loud enough, if that's okay?
That's good.
Okay. So what we're looking at here is I've observed the property and what can we do with this property. Now, I know this may sound humorous, but 4 weeks ago I received a call from a citizen wanting to know if we're going to put horse trails in here. I had to explain to them, a 1 acre parcel, we don't put horse trails on. But what we can do here is put a trail. There's a lot of people who exercise and they're walking. We've got Verizon across the street. People are exercising. There's a lot of townhomes and smaller homes in the area. So the idea here is to put a trail. And the essential differences in the 2 designs is one is a pass-through, the other is an actual loop. The loop itself is modest. We're talking about 1/10 of a mile. So I don't really see people running it 10 times so they get a mile of it. But, you know, I'm trying to present some ideas here. We also presented on the loop, you'll see the small outcroppings. Those would be outdoor exercise stations. So you can in fact have an outdoor gymnasium. Adding to this, in the middle, the orange circle in the middle, we're proposing in this concept to have a series of flags as a monument to veterans, and potentially being in a position to take and sell bricks with the names of veterans, living or deceased, who have, people who have served in any of the 5 branches of the military, and let them be honored permanently, and frankly, use the brick sales to help fund this. So there's some other amenities, a couple of picnic benches, some tables, things like that. But it's a modest pocket park, but it's time we put something park-wise in this portion of the city. We have the land. Funding is something I'm still working on, but this is the concept of what we'd like to do. Okay?
Angela, don't you have to fill out a card?
I'm just fill out a card, but once he finishes, we'll open it up.
Okay, there you go.
So that's the concept we're working on, and I am not ready with the final design. I do intend to have 1 or 2 public charrettes, in which we invite the public to come out and talk about it. We also want to promote it heavily in the area when we bring this out here. So this is not in lieu of a public meeting. This was my opportunity to start to ask you guys, because I've never come before you before. I don't know the process. I'm new at this. And so I'm asking for some guidance. What are your thoughts?
I have one.
Because you're going to, I don't think you do.
Well, I'm being polite and asking to, when we have these pocket parks, this is a very high-traveled intersection for this area, and I work over here every day, and I go past this piece of land 10 times a day.
Yes.
There's almost never, ever a time when I don't see somebody walking over in this area. And I think that some part of this needs to be accommodating for a dog park, or some part for dogs, because almost everybody's walking dogs when they walk through there. And that's what they'll use that for. And the other question I had was the possibility of having some type of signage that dictates that it's actually the city of Milton, because it would look really nice to have it.
Certainly, if we build a park, we will put a sign on it to promote that it is a park. One thing I would also add, if you look on the Wedbridge Road side, we already have a 4-board fence
Mhm.
The intention would be to continue the board fence along the Deerfield side to give it a sense of closure.
Okay.
Jim, I think this is awesome, and I think that corner could use some help. And I agree with Marty. It's amazing how many people you can start here, run down Old Milton Park, Deerfield Parkway, head down Windward, come up Highway 9 to Webb Road, and do a great jog there. It's about a 3-mile run. I don't think that this area would be somewhere where somebody's going to get a lot of exercise and keep going around in a loop. But I do think it's a stopping point for somebody who is exercising, taking a break, stop in, nice green, lots of trees. It's more of a passive area, I think would be a great use, rather than kind of the loop, kind of interior loop where somebody's maybe just going round and round and round. So I think it's a great kind of stopping point.
Well, with all the townhouses, my son actually lives in one of these townhouses behind this. And it's amazing to me how many dogs and pets there are.
Yeah.
And these people use the path, the greenway we have, and they carry their bag. You see a lot of people carrying their doggy bag thing and doing all that. But something for these people to be able to sit and be, and it'd be a great thing, because they start out, and believe it or not, they walk down, I guess, is it Webb Bridge that goes to 9? Is that
Yeah,
right?
Then 9.
Then they make a left to go to Target, then they come down Windward.
Yeah.
Then they come down
Deerfield.
or is it Morris? Is this one right? They come down Morris. But it's amazing to me. We'll go to lunch some days, and we'll see somebody running, starting off by the Chevron. By the time we're done eating lunch, we see that person running somewhere, over on that far side of Windward, or walking or whatever. And it's just amazing how many people use it that way. And I think it's a great opportunity for the city to
Yeah.
show a standard.
Or for somebody who works in this area, just say, you know what, I got my lunch, I'm just going out, sitting
Yeah.
down, I'm walking to someplace to have a lunch, I brought it with me.
That's me.
Yeah.
Work right over there. I would definitely use this
Yeah.
park, for sure.
So picnic areas, that.
If I can show all of you, and I will return and show you in just a minute, one of the suggestions I received, by the way, the reason we have the loop going like this and then coming out down here is, I am 100% committed to making sure whatever we do, we are in compliance with ADA. Carl, I think you may know I have several members of my family who are disabled Americans. And so, in doing this way, there would be, the only land disturbance would be to just cut in for the sidewalk. But what has been suggested to me is to put another dog leg almost, if you will, over here, down here. This would have to have steps, because there's a drop of about 6 feet here.
Mhm.
And so we'd have to have steps and hand railing. Obviously not accessible for a person in a wheelchair, but that's why they would still have their way out. But what's suggested to me is that there will be some people who come in here, hit a couple of stations along the way, and then continue on out down the path. And if we don't provide this path for them, they'll create one of their own.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a feature we're looking at. The other thing I do want to mention to you, in addition to getting approval from this body, I also have to go to Deerfield Commons, who has the overlay, control of this area, and get
Right.
their approval too. So
Okay.
we'll be working with the goals of 2 different design review boards.
Well, we're not trying to, I'm just establishing thought, not so much that
No, I'm listening to what you're saying, I'm trying to gather.
that I'm dead on it. It's just if you drive by it every day, you kind of see what people are using it for without regard to what we're doing anyway. And you'd be amazed. You just sit out at lunchtime over there and watch.
I have many a time, this is frankly where the idea came from.
So,
A lot of people have, come, and the other thing I do is I go out and I study the drainage as well, which is a tad unusual, because there are times people drive by and they recognize it and say, hey, Jim, don't you know it's raining? Get in. I'm trying to explain it.
Any chance, and I know, there's sidewalks on the outside on the interior of this, well, I mean,
that's going to be the brick papers, I think.
yeah. Are they brick pavers, like
Well,
an
no,
impervious
looking
type
at,
of, I mean
looking
impervious?
at, concrete for the path inside,
Uh-huh.
and then brick pavers for around the flag area, is what is the concept. Brick pavers being, possible to have a better standing list on.
Not that you need to know, but not that it's be important, but you know, you can do concrete that actually the water goes through the concrete.
Yes, porous concrete, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, you and I talked, yes, we talked about this before.
Yeah, I mean, it works out great. I mean, it's almost like a hard pack. but-
I've already discussed with Jimmy Siva on the stormwater issue, drainage, and the impact of the amount of concrete,
Isn't neglectable.
especially if we go with the one that's not a loop.
Mhm.
We are under the city requirements for the total amount of additional.
Covered space.
Right.
Got it.
So the lower, the one that's not a loop adds more green space and reaches the.
I kinda like that one better anyway. That was my favorite one anyway. Plan B.
Yeah, Plan B is,
Yep.
We like it.
Yeah, it looks like a
Yeah.
good inexpensive solution to a piece of property there.
What, I know I have several steps that I have to go through. We do have, as you can see, we do have a design engineer on board. My next intended step is a public meeting, or two. Is there any guidance you would like to offer me at this time?
I know from other public meetings like this that I've been involved in,
Yes.
try to make it be a series of meetings to where, not that it's really dictates should, but a small meeting where somebody can come, the citizens come in and have questions. And if you don't have all the right answers for them right that minute to why you're doing whatever it is you may want to do, then they get to come back to a second meeting where you can provide the answers. You know, and in the city Marietta, where I did a lot of my work, we were required to have 4-step meetings for any project of any significance. And so every time a citizen would stand up in front of the council and tell us that the taxes are going up or because of what we're doing, or, you know, whatever the problem might be, what would happen is that the next meeting would come along and I would have to have a response to what the citizens wanted in a way to make where I was making the citizens happy, along with, you know, promoting our proposition all the way down the line. But at the end of the day, after 2 or 3 of these meetings, the public got a good feel for what was being built. The city got a good feel that their citizens were happy. The builder understood exactly what he was getting ready to do. And everybody it wasn't any adversarial kind of positions.
Thank you. With regard to getting approval from this board, any suggestions for me?
No, I don't have any deal.
Nothing more.
It looks really nice to me.
Public comments.
Yes. Does anybody want to make a public comment about the park? Come on up.
Well, I got a loud enough voice. I like Plan A because
To the mic.
I like Plan A because otherwise you have people turning around like back onto each other trying to, if they're gonna do the walking. So I like that it is circle, you know.
Unless people go in 2 different directions, they'll look.
That's true, but yeah. It is, and could you put the city tree there for the city lighting?
That's what I was wondering, if we could turn that into the spot.
Yeah, the only-
Traffic going in and, you
Yeah.
know, because I have not ever attended the city lighting because I'm not gonna stand on the Highway 9 to see the lights here. So that would just be something, but that also brings into the whole idea. of
Parking.
Where's parking?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's
you know,
true.
The community, you know, the buildings around will allow parking, but, you know, that's only, but just, what's an idea?
I was gonna say that, parking.
Well, Jim, thank you.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, it's a great step for our city to understand and know that pocket parks are important, especially in these high-density areas that we've got. They're extremely important. And we appreciate the time that you have spent to do it.
You work on it.
Glad you took the job, too.
Thank you. I am glad I took
Now,
that.
who maintains it? Do we, the
We
city?
would maintain it, yeah.
We've got our own maintenance crew?
Yes, yes. Right now, the same company that does right-of-way cutting,
Yeah.
also is maintaining our parks.
Yeah.
They're already maintaining it now in terms of cutting the grass. But, you know, another feature of this is we'd be getting enough flowers and other features here that this would be one more thing that qualifies under National Wildlife Federation certification, which is part of the steps we're doing towards improving the overall quality of life certifications in the city.
Good.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you all for your time. Angela, thank you for squeezing in last minute. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank you.
And, hope you all find the rest of the meeting.
Good deal. Okay. We're back to the northeast corner of Bethany, Bend, and Cogburn, Arrowhead Real Estate Partners. Well, we'll get you turn them around.
Yeah, maybe just set them to the side, one on each side of the audience.
We want to see the lovely faces of those we voted for.
You voted for us indirectly because
That's right.
somebody appointed us that was elected. They voted for us, so let's hear it back.
This is right across from the high school. right?
Yes.
Okay. It's an interesting juxtaposition of the old folks and the young folks.
Yeah, this is gonna be a challenge.
To see these.
You know what, I'm just gonna
We've
go
got
down and
pictures.
walk down. I'm just gonna walk down there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna walk down and look at it.
Just one, try and speak loud.
Hi, I'm Curtis Hicks, 8647 Eller Drive, Alpharetta, Georgia. I apologize for being late. I had to stop by to see someone in the hospital, and I didn't anticipate the traffic on Old Milton coming from Emory Johns Creek. So again, I apologize for being late. You all have seen this application in another form. It was originally filed as a TR zoning for the entire piece of property. It was determined through the process that we were better to separate the two zoning classifications and for the corner piece to be filed under the office institutional category in the city of Milton. So right now we're really just speaking to the architectural of the assisted living facility that we have designed for the site. The facility is planned to be a 95-bed facility. We have made adjustments since, besides changing the application and from the OI, we made actually adjustments in the building itself. Originally, we were a 3-story design. We put that down to a 2-story design. We increased the buffers along the back. We've been meeting with the community, at least trying to get some feedback. Obviously, the land use is the main concern of the people here. This facility would be built to the highest standards. It falls inside the Highway 9 overlay district, which means that it has certain criteria that we would have to adhere to. I believe it is 70% brick or stone as architectural materials. There is a architectural or landscape overlay as it relates to the streetscape that is a criteria for the Highway 9 overlay. That's a 4-board split rail black horse fence along with extensive landscaping. We are in the process of finalizing the design. The building again will be of residential character in keeping with surrounding buildings. If you look at the architecture of other buildings in the Highway 9 overlay and in the across the street, Kings Ridge, that kind of thing. Again, the TR itself is not under consideration right now, so it's really the assisted living. And again, we are committed to develop according to the Highway 9 and to do it of the highest standards. This is a very high-quality facility. Rental rates probably in the $4,000 to $5,000 a month, and geared to a upper income constituent. Yes.
How many, from a design perspective, I'm looking at traffic, the number of cars. How many employees per shift is there at a 95-bed facility?
I'm really not, we have a community hearing next week, and the operator's actually going to be there. I'm the developer of the property overall, and if I were to speak to the number of employees, I would be wrong. I will say that we were required to do a traffic study for the city of Milton before filing the application, and basically the traffic study came back and said it will be no impact. Obviously, you've got a facility that has no high traffic. You don't have, high impact times to come and go. It's the parking ratio required is about 0.3 spaces per suite, so that kind of gives you an indication that there's not many employees based on the size of the facility.
So this would have an entrance on both roads. Is that entrance on Bethany, is that directly across from the entrance to the high school, or is that just?
Yeah, it lines up, and again, that has been with the guidance of the staff to create also the access point on Cogburn. The staff has recommended that we make it a right-in, right-out to promote access back to Bethany Bend for to be able to get to the light instead of coming out onto Cogburn.
And in your design, have you given consideration to the turn lanes that may, quote, have to be built there in the?
Yeah, again, that's a requirement that per the zoning application, if you can tell from the site plan, but we are adding a turn lane onto Bethany Bend, which will promote a right-hand turn, which doesn't exist now. In other words, if you're in the traffic on Bethany Bend, waiting on the light at Cogburn, and you want to turn right, you have to wait to go through the light. With this development, you'll actually have a dedicated turn lane to promote a right-hand turn onto Cogburn Road. And that is something, again, in the design. In addition, part of the Bethany Bend overlay, there is a 10-foot intermodal sidewalk that is designed along all of the Bethany Bend and Cogburn Road frontage, which is designed to promote pedestrian access, bicycle riding, and other, and actually at 10 feet wide, to be able to coexist, pedestrians and bike riders and everything to be on the same sidewalk. A normal sidewalk is generally about 5 to 6 feet.
I don't know if this is, I'm gonna say it the right way, but lighting for a facility like this, night lighting, is that lighting gonna be a sort of a low impact lighting so that it doesn't really affect the homes behind it? And
Yes, it'll be a shielded, to basically to light down, and as you know, with all of the, lighting that people have now, obviously whether it's security lighting or whatever, but there's not an ambient, reflection from the lighting. It will be shielded, and it will direct down from the parking lot and basically be able to light the parking lot without having an ambient, as they say, light scatter, so to speak.
I've got a question for maybe Angela. This is the Highway 9 overlay district.
Yes.
How does that relate to the form-based code that's coming forward? Is that kind of mirror that, or is it similar, or what is it?
The form-based code kind of takes what we already have and steps it up. He will probably get his case, I think, will go before the council before the Highway 9
Okay.
code is approved.
Okay.
So, we wouldn't hold him to that.
But there is like a review process for the building, architecture, through our.
Under the existing.
Under the existing, that's
Oh,
what I'm
yeah.
kind of, yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
I mean,
And that
when
goes,
he's
it goes,
ready,
and that
he'll
goes
come
to,
back for the LDP and he'll come back for the building.
for the,
permit.
like, does that go to Bob for review? Is he?
Bob
part-
will
yeah.
review the building first, yes.
There's a criteria as it relates to, well, street lights, but even decorative lamps, benches, all those things that are to be harmonious with the Highway 9, and so it has a, you know, everything has a general look to it that the city's trying to promote, and we've been given, our architects have been given that criteria.
And once the building, does that come back to us then? Once the building is designed, permitted, does that come back to us to look at the building?
It'd come back.
It'll come back prior to the issuance of the building permit.
Yeah, okay, so we would see the building again.
Mhm.
So, I mean, what we're looking at is,
This is
Conceptual,
conceptual right
yeah,
now.
okay.
What you would look at would be the final design, and like anything that there's some money been spent, but until we can know that we're able to get zoned
Okay.
and not, they don't want to go to hard architectural drawings for everything.
Right, and yeah, they're here tonight specifically for the rezoning, so it's
Yeah.
kind of a concept review of the rezoning.
okay,
Well, this is not something we have to vote on to approve or disapprove. right?
Correct.
You know, obviously, something has to go on the lot,
Right.
you know, and God only knows what is the right thing to put on that lot, one way or the other. You know, the things that I'm personally worried about is traffic impact by having a building that size on that corner from a design standpoint. I drive past there every day, and I wait in traffic in the mornings going to work, and then I wait in traffic going home. And so I just conceive that there's a problem with that in the near future in limiting the expansion width of Bethany Bend or Bethany through there. You know, I'm not trying to be difficult or hard to get along with. I'm just trying to put a point of perspective out that I understand that something's got to be built on this property, and it may be this building.
And again, based on the traffic study that the city had us to do, and it was a very detailed study, and it was done, you know, to specific hours, couldn't be holidays, couldn't be off-peak hours, all that kind of thing, had to take into account, you know, normal drive times and everything. This is obviously a non-peak hour operation, you know, as far as.
Well, I understand about this building not affecting impact the traffic itself. What I worry about is the building being built this close to that important intersection will limit our ability to expand that road, which we know is something that's going to happen somewhere in the future.
Well, in that regard, again, we will be giving right away, and actually we'll put in one of the lanes at our expense, not to the city's expense. So one of the requirements we're having to do is we're adding an additional lane for half the road frontage there at our expense, and then again, there's enough right of way for the, you know, so the city's requiring the right of way to be there, and then there's still enough setback. So again, we're not in any way impeding the ability of the city to widen the road. In fact, we're, you know, helping that process by putting in part of the turn lane to begin with.
So were you thinking Bethany Bend, other than the turn lanes, would be widened at some point?
yeah.
Well, just from driving that road every day, when you know that your traffic is backed up from Cogburn Road almost to Highway 9 every afternoon, something's going to have to give at some point because it's going to impact. It's now going to start to impact a state road on Highway 9 because it'll start blocking up traffic there. And yet in the mornings when you go back, you're all the way past the school when it's backed up in the other direction. So your building's a beautiful building. I don't have really any problems with the building whatsoever. And this may be way beyond my pay grade and way beyond the scope of what I can look at. But in the design part of it, that's my concern.
Yes, sir.
You know, do I think you'll build a beautiful building? Absolutely. I do. Do I think it'd be an asset to our community? Absolutely. But that still comes down to a fear, because at some point in time, somebody will have to deal with that road And it may not be in this cycle, but it may be somewhere down the line. So, but you've got beautiful buildings. I've seen some of the other work. It's nice work, and there's just nothing until we can see an actual building itself, the real building. Those are my only real concerns. You're right. An assisted living facility like this has a low impact in the community. So, you know, and nobody's going to get everything they want.
Marty, I'm not quite sure what a 4-lane would do. It'd get you to Highway 9 faster, so you can wait. So, you know, I'm sure we've got long-range solutions to our roads that, you know, that are being considered by staff. But a 4-lane road is going to do nothing other than get you to Highway 9 faster, so you can wait at the light.
I mean, that's what I was thinking. I mean, I can't.
I'm not real fond of 4-lane roads. That's all it does.
What they really have to do probably at this intersection is once everything's in place, then work on the timing of the lights. And if we do get turn lanes, that would obviously help absorb some of it.
I don't think that road they were going to be where the new city building's going to go. They were thinking that would take away some traffic as well. So,
but that's not going to be open all the time.
but obviously, I think you got a nice looking building. It's just, those are my only questions.
We're in that process on, you know, trying to answer those questions.
But, you know, once you do, you know, move through the process, we're going to see this again. So
You will see it in the final form.
Conceptually, I like the building, but I'm sure that Mr. Hicks knows that there's a process to go through, especially in the Highway 9 overlay district, that will, you know, ensure that architecture is going to be something that's really considered highly in the approval process.
Anything else?
Any more questions?
Okay. You ready for us to open it up for public comment?
Sure. I've been there before.
Okay. All right, thank you. I'm opening it up to public comment.
Hi, my name's Dot Blair, and I live at 13965 Cogburn Road, Milton, Georgia. I'm an adjoining property owner, and I've got several issues with this property, but I think you're the design review board, so I'll try to keep focused on the design problems that I have an issue with. The first is we're in the second, this is a second go-around with this, and we still don't have a building to look at for this. It's a little confusing. Maybe I don't understand the process, but this isn't the actual building that's going to be built there. This is a building that's somewhere else. So I can't understand the delay in not having a design for the design review board to look at this point, because we've been through one delay. We're 2 months into this. So that's one issue I have. Now my second issue is it affects my property. Now, it's not on this, but I think you have a black and white copy. If you'll look, there's a power line easement. It's close to the service entrance. It's a very faint line that cuts across this property. And it comes in at the back corner of my property. I've got the one on Concord Road here. Okay, this is a above ground utility, and there's like a 65 or 75 foot open void space here that these trees are nicely blocking now, which will actually act like a tunnel for me. I don't understand why they haven't had to address that or even scale it in and put it in and say, well, we're gonna plant a buffer here. What are they gonna do to get rid of that tunnel that's gonna put light pollution and noise pollution right in my backyard? And if you follow that straight line, it's a direct sight line to my house. So I've got light pollution, I've got noise pollution, I've got the service entry backing up at 4:30 in the morning beeping. And that's my alarm clock. It's coming right straight into my bedroom. And the last issue I have about the traffic. Yes,
Which lot is yours?
mine's one on Cogburn.
Okay,
That first one on the.
Yeah, that first one,
Karen?
the 2 acre lot right at the.
Karen?
I'm actually Dot, I'm co-owner. It's this lot right here.
Okay. It shows up here as now or formerly Karen
Right, that's
Asher?
the co-owner.
Yeah, okay.
The power line runs right in. You should, I don't know if you can see it or not, there's a little small circle That's a 75-foot wide strip where there's no trees. It's an above-ground power utility line that goes through there.
So I have a question, is that, it would run right through where the building's gonna be?
Yeah, well, if they've got to address that somehow. Yeah,
Right.
right now it runs straight through the building. I'm sure that they could work with the utility company, maybe go underground. I'm not really sure, but why haven't they had to address this? Why hasn't it had to be scaled in and say, hey, look, we've got this here. We're gonna plant a buffer here, or we're gonna go underground here. What are we gonna do with this utility easement?
Well, let me start off by telling you that from a general perspective, they are floating this design to everybody here on the staff to see what can be done. And no real viable developer is going to spend $250,000 or more to do a full set of architectural plans.
I
Till-
apologize, I don't
till
understand
it
the
gets-
process. I'm just.
Till they get past where they
Sure.
know they've got something.
Well, I'd just like to bring
Right.
up my
I know.
issues
That's
that
fine.
way. Just make
I'm
sure
just
that they're
explaining,
known,
I'm just
you know.
explaining whether I do it good or not. But-
Thank you.
But I'm just trying to explain it, but they're not gonna do that. So they've paid for some renderings and a survey and plotting it out. They've done that. They've spent some money there. As far as like the utility line, if that's one of your issues, that's something that can be addressed to them and some conceptual idea can come up with that would be part of the final design to be able to help you with your issues with it. I understand the light pollution, which, believe it or not, you're the reason why I asked the question that I asked about the lights.
Thank you, sir.
The lights are, I remember you from the last time.
Yes, sir.
And what I asked specifically was how the lights were going to be addressed, and so what he's done is he said that they're going to use this ambient light that comes out to where the overview of the lights that come out to spill out from its main point of lighting is going to be more ambient lighting, and it will be less probably invasive than a service light that you would have on a street light.
How about noise pollution? How about the ambulances coming in? This is an elderly population. Are we going to have them turn off the ambulance before they enter into the
Generally,
neighborhood?
they do. I mean, I can't say what they will do or not do. I can tell you that I've been involved in nursing home facilities before, and it is going to be probably one of the quietest things that y'all can get for that corner. I'm not saying that you got to agree with it, but you're better having that than you would to have 20 houses built on that corner
Well,
or
this
a
is
shopping
in the
center.
Central Milton district. According to Central Milton and the land use development plan, this should be 1 acre lots. So if you go by what your plan is, what the city has decided what this lot should be used for, if you follow that, what it says in your laws that you're supposed to follow, this should be 1 acre lots.
Well, Angela, you mentioned this was the Highway 9 overlay, right? Is that different from a Central Milton plan?
I think she's referring to a character area. That's a component of the comprehensive plan, which are guidelines for, kind of what we hope will go well, what we think will go work in future planning. The thing with the form-based code that's coming up is, to a certain extent, that kind of goes away. It's more based on use. The form-based code in general is more based on use, is more based on the look and the form as opposed to use. And then I know there's some issues with sewer and all of that, so it's a guideline.
Well, I guess I'm trying to say is,
Sorry, I didn't follow along because that's not what we've been explaining. What she's saying.
It sounds quite different.
the code, the form-based code that we're going to, right? I'm saying it right?
Going to.
Going
That
to.
wouldn't apply, though, I don't think.
It doesn't apply right now.
Doesn't apply right now. Okay, but it,
The land use development plan applies right now. The comprehensive plan, read your laws. The comprehensive plan guides the development at this area. This got tagged in because they did citizen surveys. The citizens of Milton came out, they did their survey, they sat in the meetings and they said, we want this lot to stay part of the rural character and heritage of our community. It wasn't just me, and it wasn't just these these people that have been showing up for 2 months. It was the entire community of Milton said, hey, we're going to put this lot in and keep its heritage.
Well, I understand. I mean, I do. I mean, I do understand.
Okay. Now,
But what I am saying to you is that the questions that I can really ask, which I stretched on the questions I could ask, were the concerns I've got. I can't, we as a board can't say the validity of whether this can be built, not built,
sure.
any of that stuff.
May I
We can
address,
ask the questions about, like your thing about the lights, I can ask that question. I can
Sure.
ask.
The
from-
traffic?
From a design perspective, I would think that I could ask on that.
May I say something about the traffic study? I just read this afternoon
Okay.
quickly. And it does give recommendations for the safety of the community, which is more than just a right-hand turn at the corner of, right here is where they're talking about putting this turn. Right here is where they put a curb cut to turn. But the traffic plan actually proposes to keep up the safety. They have a turn lane here, right lane going in. They have a left-hand turn here going in the road, which will help ease that traffic that you see in every morning. But they're not addressing it. The only thing they're doing is addressing it with this traffic island right here, which is a right in, right out. Okay? My problem with this right in, right out is the fire station that services this building is north of here. God forbid somebody's mother's died here, and the traffic ambulance is rushing down this road, it hits that island and busts a tire.
Well, that will be from, I guess, from a staff level to the design of the curb cuts. And I don't know that we can really address that. We can address the building.
How can we? We don't even have a picture of it.
Well, we've got a plat. I mean, we've got a plat, and we've got a general idea where the parking lot's gonna be. We have a general idea it's gonna be a two-story building. We can generally know how high the building's gonna be.
Well,
You know
Well-
those general things.
are you, hey, Curtis? Yeah, I think you got it.
Come back to the mic for me. Curtis, can you come back to the mic because we're recording?
We're required to not exceed, I believe it's 35 feet at the eaves of the building, which is the criteria for, as you measure a two-story building, which is actually probably less than probably most of the homes that are in the neighborhood behind us. In other words, we're limited to a two-story, and there's a measurement that how you measure to the maximum height of a two-story building, and we're limited to that, and it would be, again, designed to that.
I guess her question is this what we've seen tonight? Is this what's gonna be
Those are the
built?
architectural details. The final building, we will, I'm hoping to have an elevation to share with the community prior to, we have a community meeting next week on the 12th.
Okay,
And again, the operator of the assisted living is a company out of California.
okay.
We have a California architect. I put them in touch with Raman McDonald to make sure they are aware of all of the design criteria, and they're working on it now to have an elevation. Unfortunately, it was not ready for presentation tonight.
I think what her concern is if this is built there, what's it gonna look like? And that's a valid question.
Right.
I mean, so I think as a courtesy review, it would be.
Yeah, and again, it's gonna be residential in character. It's gonna be 70% as required of brick and stone. It was gonna be two-story. It will have normal, roof elevations for residential architecture. And again, I hope to have that
By your meeting,
elevation
yeah.
form by next week. In addition, we are finalizing the buffer design as it relates to, we're putting, a privacy fence that will run along the entire property line to separate our boundary and their boundary, an 8-foot privacy fence, and then landscaping on our side of that to create additional buffer. And really the landscaping will, although you probably won't see it because we'll have a privacy fence built, it will help, for any road noise from the road. It will probably actually create a better situation that exists there now. The residents have said that, especially this time of year when there is no evergreen out there and the leaves are off the trees, that they have a full view into and across the street to Cambridge High School. by installing this privacy fence and doing additional evergreen planting in the 75-foot buffer to buffer standards, then actually we're going to be improving the conditions as it relates to what the houses experience between their house and the road.
Okay. Sir, you want to step up?
We'll do that after you finish.
My name is Neeraj Kumar. I live in 5950 Stone Glen. It could be right about here, right behind.
Mhm.
I've been there for 13 years. So, I mean, the primary concern really is the consistency of the lifestyle that we have tried to maintain and what Milton City is all about. I mean, that's, you have a horse on your letterhead, it says the best quality of life in Georgia. So, but I understand that this committee is not to discuss that. You're primarily talking about the design aspects of that. So, within that limited area, what I can express are primarily related to the lights. What the gentleman said about he thinks it's going to get better. I mean, I do not know how he interprets it. I don't see how it can get better if he builds all these townhomes. Right? I can see the traffic light on the Highway 9 right now, but if he builds all that, my backyard is going to look much worse, you know, compared to if we had similar kind of homes as we have in a subdivision, which is like 1 acre lot homes. The second thing is about the lighting. It will be invasive. It will not be like blaring light in my backyard, but it will be invasive. You need, if you have those many people living there, you need a lot more light than if you have the houses like we have in our subdivision. How can it not be? About the traffic, the Milton High School where my son is going is currently at 1/3 the capacity. Once it goes to full capacity or beyond, when they start having trailers there, and when the rest of the Milton starts developing, traffic is going to get worse. And the backing up is a problem right now. I mean, if you have 2 lanes, there's less backing up. Right now, it backs up nearly all the way to Publix. Maybe 3 years' time, you know, there will be no place to back up further. So if you have 2 lanes, you know, you leave that room to yourself. But the primary thing is, which is probably not the purview of this committee right now, is that it's not consistent. If you drive, I mean, I came here 13 years ago. There was one Home Depot, there was one Cabernet, and there was one BP. And the whole Highway 9 corridor has now strip malls, department stores, a lot of commercial stuff coming all along. But that's Highway 9, right? Once we leave Publix, then it begins to get rural, country-like, what Milton is supposed to be. This building, I don't think is consistent with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have anything you want to ask me?
The only thing I was going to say is that the only thing we have to look at is the plans that are in front of us. And the only thing we can really interject some thought into is what's physically in front of us. And whatever's approved later down the line will be a matter of another board in the city council and what can and cannot be there. So we have to give the direction. We just can't leave this developer in the lurch of not saying anything about what he's got. We need to put through our thoughts to better this particular set of plans that he's got. And it's not so much that we are saying that we